probably half of my life in private enterprise, and I found that the closer that one is to market competition, the less administrators there are.
There you go.
The more workers.
That's right.
So if you,
that's right.
And
that's right.
the money is funneled in.
That's right.
Through the administrators.
Yep.
The administrators
exactly.
who make the budget.
Exactly.
And of course, if everybody believes that their position and their people are the most important in the whole system.
Of course.
The system can't get by without the instructors. The system can't get by without the counselors. The system can't get by without the administrators. The administrators are the most important, or the teachers are the most important. Well, since everybody thinks that their job is the most important, if they have power of the purse, guess who they're going to fund? They're going to fund themselves.
Of course they are. They're the management.
My sense is that it is bloated, and when I get the union stuff all the time. You know, they've got Prop 98, which
yep. That's another problem. Yep.
Budget. If the education system is going to be destroyed, it'll be because the general. I mean, we're talking the state education, CSU, Cal State, it'll be destroyed because the budget itself gets broken.
Absolutely.
And there just won't be. They'll get 40%. They'll get 40% of nothing.
Right. No, absolutely.
That's what will happen.
Right. And the problem is, what does administration do? They don't lay off themselves. They go right to the rank and file. They lay off people. They lay off your teachers. They lay off the very people who are providing the service you're supposed to provide. You don't see administration shrinking nearly as fast as you see the rank and file of government workers, public employees, teachers, fire and police. The administrators aren't going to touch themselves because they're the ones that bring the information to their decision-making board, and the decision-making board is, like a bunch of those bobbleheads, the local ones. They're not asking questions either.
I'm down about 20% in my classroom. No, I guess 20%, and it's going to get worse. But not one administrator in any place where I work.
That's right.
Has lost it.
That's right. That's right.
There's been no real hiring freeze as far as administration is concerned.
That's right. So, like in our local school district, they laid off 40 people, 40 teachers, no administrators, and then they wanted the teachers to shorten their day and take more of a pay cut. And it's like, what do you mean? You just increased the load. The first thing you did, rather than looking at what makes sense and everybody paying the same. But here's what's interesting when that happens. When the teachers and the administrators are negotiating, the administrators are representing the Board of Education. No, they're not. They're representing their own self-interest. So if they cut 40 teachers, that's less they have to look at cutting salaries, because if they cut the teachers' salaries, they cut the administrators' salaries. So they try any way they can to figure out how to cut people and not cut their own salaries.
If you went back Prop 98, the local school districts and community college districts, at least, were a lot less dependent upon the state government for their funding. So, they were depending on the property taxes. They were a little bit more lean, and there was a lot less possibility for growth. So once somebody becomes dependent upon something like a drug, then they're going to suffer withdrawal symptoms if that drug is withdrawn. So the problem was it became a state responsibility.
Well, that's why if it was a state responsibility, who's going to hold those 120 people accountable? Not us. Because we vote on name recognition and whoever puts the most colorful flyers in our mailbox, right? That's how we vote. And a lot of times what it is, that 30% of the population votes, 30% of the voters, and they're making the decision.
Democrats and women.
So the inherent problem, you got to change the management. You have to change the character of the person and how they look at what this position is. Because if they're there to serve and they have a job and a family and whatever else waiting for them at home, they're going to want to get home. 43 other states do it. Texas is the model. The Economist has looked at it. A lot more of this information is going to continue to come out. They're now having panels. We're involved with all of those different government reform panels now. UC Berkeley is publishing the California policy journal they publish, and they invited me to write a commentary on a constitutional convention, and if I supported it or not, and why. And so I did, and I said, overhaul the legislature, not the Constitution. So I wrote all about that, put all these key points in there. And I heard from the professor today, and he said, Gabriella, this is a bullseye. So, that's, people are getting it. I mean, it's not that complicated. This isn't rocket science. It's good management. And it starts up here, and then when they're home in the grocery store and working with, whoever they're working with, they have to mingle among who they represent. That's and I think it'll make a big difference.
Is there a salary cap? I'll speak from the left a little bit on this one. If you go by the Texas model, an executive getting paid $2 million a year, if they give him time off, but he's going to represent the company's interests, in the legislature, and they keep paying him $2 million a year, wouldn't the people think, well, it's basically the company hiring a lobbyist to go in and vote?
There is some discussion on that, but there are some troubling incidences like that do happen. Mm-hmm. But it's better to have 2 or 3 like that than 120. And the other question is that they ask are the lobbyists and the staffers. They said, well, they'll just be more empowered. How is that? The only person who has any real power is the person who casts the vote. So if you're getting the kind of person you think you want in there, someone of integrity, who can't be bought or sold, really, they cast that vote. That staffer's going to do what that legislator tells them to do. They're not going to have it the other way around, like now, where it's all about their 14-year career path, and the staffers and the lobbyists are writing the legislation while they're out cruising K Street at their $1,000 a plate fundraiser, shaking hands. You want to find a legislator? Go up to this Capitol. Don't go inside the dome. Go on K Street. Walk into any one of those little boutique restaurants, and there'll be somebody in there whose hand you can shake.
There was somebody said that politicians are like rats. What they steal is nowhere near as the amount of damage that they do getting it. If it was up to me, I don't care how much money they make. I would pay them 10 times as much money just to do nothing. than
do no harm?
To actually, because I think that what they do is they do harm. They have, they're going to try to get money from for the re-election and whatever. But I think a lot of them have, I hate to say it, it's their idealism that's misguided. It's divorced from reality. They're trying to get some.
I'll take a good honest crook any day over a do-gooder.
Yeah, seriously. I think that their ideas are warped. They think that they can centrally control everything, and that's what's destroying it. I'd rather just pay them off to stay home, rather than to go there and do the actual damage. Although I do think the cut and pay is a good thing, but the main thing is just the less time they're there, the less time they have to do damage.
Right. You'd like them to have to still feel the need to work and stay amongst. Is it a perfect system? No. Are human beings perfect?
Do you take away their lifetime health benefits?
They don't get them. They don't get a retirement or lifetime health benefits. The state legislature, that was banned a while ago. It's not like Congress, right? But they're staffers. Still do.
What do you think about the New Hampshire model? I think they pay them $10 or
Yeah.
something a year. Basically, then they don't pay them.
Yeah. Well, I know about that. There's a couple other that are that. Like Georgia is pretty extreme.
Texas only meets
But-
every other year.
Right.
Nevada only meets every other year.
Right, but Texas is very, very similar to California. So when they come in that argument, all those arguments, just pull that up. Here it is. So it's certainly